Hi guys and welcome to episode 24 of Beat to the Punch. I'm joined on the line all the way from New York by Brendan Galolly. Brendan, how's things?
I'm melting to death in this goddamn heat, Steve. How you doing?
Well, yeah, here in Scotland, we've got our summer officially started today. We've had my first day of sunshine, so I'm reveling in it. But if we probably speak again in another couple of days, I'll be sick of it and I'll be wanting the rain back. Yeah, is it really unbearable over there just now?
It's been like, I guess tempered. I'm trying to do the math. It'd be like, I'm like, 30, 31, 32 degrees Celsius, but it's been so fucking humid. It's been like 70% humidity, 80% humidity. It's just like walking in a fucking fog of heat. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to places like Thailand and Indonesia, and that's what it's like there. It's like you don't do nothing. Moving is out of the question. Pretty much taking fluids to your mouth is exercise.
Yep, exactly.
Well, at least when we were talking earlier on, you were telling me you've got your big brand new aircon unit that you got installed last year. So
Yep,
obviously that
yep.
must be paying for itself just now.
100%. It's been on all week, so I don't care what the electric bill is.
Yeah, this is where the Scottish government insulate all everybody's houses and that here. Insulators get us all ready for the winter. So that completely fucks us up in the summer
Uh,
when we're trying to cool our houses down because they just hold in heat. It's fucking
uh,
ridiculous.
that's fucking brutal.
But I'm glad that the Scottish summer pretty much only lasts for like a week or two, and
I,
it be back to the rain.
I'm jealous.
Let's get started. Well, we'll just start with some of the weekend's action. And I have to admit, I've been a wee bit of casual because I've not even seen one of these fights that we've got to talk about. I've only seen like the highlights and the knockout. But I did see the Charlo Cota fight. It didn't last very long. This fight was designed to make Charlo look good. It was obviously Cota was a late replacement, and and Charlo just made very easy work of him, didn't he?
Yeah, for sure. And he just brutal knockout, aided by the referee a little bit. But yeah, Kota brought nothing to the table for him, and it's clear late replacement. He still wanted to fight, so no issue. Another like Charlo bum of the month knockout. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it kind of showed the level of this guy when you've got a guy like Charlo who likes to sit back and pick his shots and look for an opening and then just pounce on you. That's why he gets these like highlight knockouts quite a lot. And this guy was standing when if you watch him when he gets put down the first time, he's got his hands at his hips.
Yeah.
In the inside with his hands at his hips against somebody like Charlo, you're going like, right then when I was watching it, I was like, this isn't going to end well, and pretty much about a half a second later, he was on the floor. I was like, yep, seen that coming.
He was. There was no need to continue after the first knockdown. It was, just losing more brain cells, getting
Yeah,
pummeled like that.
yeah. As you said, let's just touch on that. The referee didn't really do his job very well there when the lad got up, did he?
No, he had his hands on the ropes, and the ref kind of like moved his hands off the ropes, like he wanted him to get like finished spectacularly. Just it was a poor weekend of refereeing overall, especially on the in that arena on that card specifically. But yeah, I mean you got to protect the fighter at all costs. That's really what your job is in there, and he failed to do it.
Yeah, because usual protocol after a knockdown is the referee, once you're standing, you have to stand there, you have to be responsive, you have to show to the referee that you can move on your feet and you can protect yourself. Now, he was holding onto the ropes. As you say, the referee pulled his hands off the ropes and pretty much goes like that to Charlo. On you go. Go get your highlight reel knockout, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But the actual knockout, it did look superb. Again, it was supposed to, wasn't it? This guy's brought in late. Charlo had to get something like that. You know what I mean? He couldn't have had a stinker. So I suppose you can't really blame Charlo for that, can we?
No, it's not. He did what he had to do, and that's it. There's nothing really to say much more about the opponent. It was a shame he didn't get his rematch against Tony Harrison, but he had an Achilles injury, and he did what was put in front of him. So I
Uh,
guess credit to him for doing that.
Now, I'm a big advocate in a £154 division. I think it's probably the best division in the sport. Maybe not talent-wise, but definitely for evenly matched fighters and round robins. Now, we've seen, obviously, it was supposed to be the rematch with Harrison in there last night. No, sorry, on Saturday. We didn't get that, but we really kind of need to see these guys fighting each other now, because there's a few of them maybe, getting to the touching, maybe touching the middleweight now, like they can't really be making 154 anymore, and we kind of need to see these guys start to fight each other now, don't we?
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't mind seeing Julian Williams back in the mix after his big win against Hurd. Get a rematch against Charlo. You got Hurd. I don't know if he wants that rematch with Williams. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make that weight anymore. He's a massive man. But you're right. It's not the most talented division, but it's certainly a lot of even depth of not the best fighters, but very good fighters. Which is good to be good to see if they all start mixing it up a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's it, because we kind of thought that we maybe had 2 or 3, but just over the last 6 months, it's kind of showed that the top 5 can all beat each other. And I mean, we kind of seen the way Jarrett Hurd just finally overpowered Lara, which was a great fight, a great display, and a fan that kind of a fight that brought me back to Erislandy Lara. I thought it was a great fight. But when I was thinking about this today, I think that Erislandy Lara would have to beaten a Charlo. And, and I think Charlo has got to beaten a J-Rock. And then I think Hurd would have to beaten a Charlo. And I was like, but these are fights where when you play it over in your head, you go, like, yeah, I can definitely see that. But we need to see it. We need to see it. We can't have these guys beating about anymore. But who do you think is number 1 in the division right now?
I'm not sure, to be honest. You got Williams with his loss to Charlo. Hurd got beat by Williams. I guess by default you'd say Tony Harrison.
Yeah. Even though a lot of people kind of claimed that was he maybe got the nod when Charlo. I'm not going to say it was a robbery, but there was cries of robbery.
I don't see. I like Tony Harrison's a fine fighter, but I don't see him as being the best guy. I would just put him there maybe by default right now because he has the most, the closest. I'm not sure. You know what? It's a division where I'm not sure, and like you said, we'd like to see them all get together and mix it up so we can figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And just to finish up on this, because as we say, there's not really a lot to talk about because Charlo did what he was supposed to do against an opponent he's far better than. But I noticed that this was on the Fox PBC, on the Fox channel with their deal with the PBC. How is that planning out? How is that working out?
It was on national TV, so it gets the guy some exposure. I guess it's going well, but all the big fights are on pay-per-view now. Ever since they got with Fox, I think it's going to be since then it's like 6 pay-per-views in less than a year. So it's $75 a clip. So it's just moving the fights from Showtime to Fox. That's the Showtime pay-per-views to Fox pay-per-views. That's pretty much all it is.
So was this originally supposed to be a pay-per-view show before the injury?
No. It was going to be it's just going to be a Fox card.
All right. I suppose that would have been awesome. Obviously it's a shame that the injury kind of ruined that, but I mean that would have been great. A great fight to have on free TV.
Yeah, for sure. They're putting more and more good fights on, but then they throw you some of the they stick you with the pay-per-views. But this is life as a boxing fan. One of the most expensive sports to be a fan of, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. Another fight that was on the undercard was Rigo against a boy. Is it Seja? Is that how you pronounce his name? When I watched it was Russian commentary, so I had no chance of finding out how to pronounce the lad's name.
I think that's close enough for me. I think it sounds good to me, Steve. But I honestly didn't watch this fight live. I just caught the end. I caught the highlights, and that was it. I was a bit of a casual myself this weekend. Really didn't watch anything from start to finish.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was watching it today, and I mean, this guy kind of looked fair-fisted. The Rigo was bullying him, he was manhandling him. I'm talking about in the first 4 rounds. And it got to a point where there was one point, I don't know if you've seen this, Rigo puts his hands above his head and just lets the guy, gives him 4 free shots to the body. Now, that shows you the level of opponent and the respect that Rigo had for that. had for his opponent in there.
Yeah, and he was saying, and Rigo never fights like that. He fought in the pocket, which people were praising him for. But he's like, yeah, everyone complains I'm not fan friendly. I'm like, this guy's age, I guess he's listed at 38 or whatever. He might be 58, but you're not going to change your style against someone dangerous and fight like that. You're going to get hurt. What you can do is they put a bomb in front of you, and you tried to make an interesting fight, I guess.
Yeah, it definitely was getting caught in the inside. I mean, I noticed that, but if you're getting hit with somebody that you don't respect their power, I suppose you leave yourself open to get hit.
Yeah, for sure. It's stupid. It's showboating and stupid. I don't know why he's decided at this point in his career he's going to take chances. It's just silly to me. You're no longer a headliner. You're no longer relevant in the conversation of division titleists and things of that nature.
Yeah, well, now Rigondo is he has been one of these guys. We all suspect he's been like his skill level, but being the Cuban and not having a big fan base, it's like he's kind of always flew under the radar, and he's never really had the big following. Do we think that he's still got it left in him? Apparently, I think he's 38 years old. Do we think that he can make another push back to the top of the division, or is his time been and gone?
I think his time's gone. Honestly, I think he's older than 38. He's not going to get. He's not fan friendly. He'll have to do it. Climb up the mandatory list that way. I think to get a shot, but for him, he really does nothing for me at this stage. And plus, he fights so infrequently too nowadays.
Yeah.
For him, he really does nothing for me at this stage. And plus, he fights so infrequently too nowadays.
Yeah. Well, that was it. I actually was surprised. I didn't even know Rigondo was fighting on the card. It wasn't till the next day I put on Twitter and I saw a wee 5-second clip of him knocking this guy out. So I know how the fight ended. I was just trying to fill in the bit at the start. But it wasn't great watching. It was. I wouldn't recommend them to go watch it. It was. It's exactly how you'd. It was a kind of breaking this guy down, beating him down, and absolutely zero respect for anything that came back until we got the knockout. So, And
I thought the stoppage was bad too. I mean, it was going to come eventually, but the guy was in real trouble. Not to me, he wasn't, at least.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It was just kind of like, okay, this is done now. They could have used that rep in the main event where the poor Cota got his brain scrambled for no reason.
Definitely, and there seemed to be. We're going to touch on this a wee bit later on, but there seemed to be a wee bit of that right across the board. At the weekend, quick stoppages, guys too eager to get involved. There was a wee bit of that at the weekend, but there wasn't a lot of action to talk about that weekend. I think you said there was another good fight on. I hadn't seen it.
It was Cancio versus Machado. It's a rematch from February. Cancio, he's like a pipe worker from California, and he had lost to Joseph Diaz Jr. And he's going down the path of a journeyman career, work his job, I guess take some fights, make some extra money for his family. And he stopped Machado. He's like a 130. I think he was the 130-pound WBA regular titleist, whatever the fuck that means. So he stopped him in February with the vicious body attack, and everyone's calling the fight a fluke. Machado he was undefeated, didn't have a good training camp, struggled with the weight cut, the usual song and dance of excuses. And then on Friday night, it was pretty much the same exact fight all over again. Machado put him down in the first round, and then Cancio came back with just the relentless body attack and stopped him in the third.
Yeah, do you know, I think I actually maybe have seen this again on Twitter, one of your wee 10-second videos that you get on there. I think I've seen the stoppage, but I've not seen any of the fight, but I'm going to go back and check it out. Because I mean, I like guys like, like Joe Smith Jr., see guys that they go to their work, they work like everybody else. Boxing's kind of a part-time job, but when they go into that ring, they give everything. They might not be blessed with the big batting in that, but they're out there and they represent for themselves, which is quite good.
I love everyone loves like a working class style fighter,
Yeah, quite a good fight over here in Glasgow. Scott Allen took on Lee McGregor. Lee McGregor, the Commonwealth champion. Fight over here in Glasgow. Scott Allen took on Lee McGregor. Lee McGregor, the Commonwealth champion. It ended up fight over here in Glasgow. Scott Allen took on Lee McGregor. Lee McGregor, the Commonwealth champion. It ended up quite a good scrap. Lee McGregor showed a lot of vulnerabilities. He's good as what he thought he was yet. Keeping his hands way too low, moving backwards in straight lines. He's not as quick footed as he thought he. He's good as what he thought he was yet. Keeping his hands way too low, moving backwards in straight lines. He's not as quick footed as he thought he is what you think he is. So I thought that it was a good fight. It's definitely worth checking out. There's a lot of action in it. But again,
that way. But I thought Scott Allen should have had some more time. A few more minutes to see if he could, muster up anything.
Yeah.
I thought Scott Allen should have had some more time. A few more minutes to see if he could, muster up anything.
Yeah.
I thought Scott Allen should have had some more time. A few more minutes to see if he could, muster up anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah, that was my thoughts as well. I'm not saying that he was going to come back, but I think that the lad had earned the right to, at least show the big crowd there, at least kind of like give him every opportunity to recover, because he looked hurt before that in the fight and recovered. So
yeah, he seems like a tough kid. So I didn't he wasn't brutally hurt or anything.
Yeah.
But, I guess better safe than sorry. Sometimes that doesn't always work out.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it was Victor. I think it was Victor Loughlin who was reffing that fight. And Victor Loughlin he comes from and Victor Loughlin's usually a sadistic bastard. He's usually one of these guys that fucking he'll let somebody get beat. He'll let somebody get beat to an absolute pulp before he even considers stopping the fight. So I was a bit surprised with that. But let's move on to the news. The news has kind of irritated everybody and irked everybody. Is Canelo has been stripped his world championship, WBC world title, and he's been upgraded to the franchise champion. Now, Brendan, I'm going to ask you, because I've read 3 different articles on this and I am none the wiser. What is a franchise champion?
I don't know. Did he get a McDonald's or a Burger King or something out of the deal? I guess from what I read some of the rules. I saw different guys post up. I read Martin from New Age Boxing put an article up. I guess the guy can't lose. Even if he loses, he doesn't lose his belt, and the guy gets the right to fight for the BC belt in whatever division he beats him in. First, the other champion.
No, that is absolutely ridiculous, because that's not a WBC rule.
Yeah, so they just want a piece of Canelo Alvarez. From any way they get it. Of him, I don't understand why you accept this deal. What are they bringing for you? They're bringing you nothing. They're bringing you some Mickey Mouse bullshit belt.
Do you know, this is all still part of the WBC, still trying to make up to Canelo when they were trying to force the Triple G fight them years ago. And he binned his belt, and he says he wouldn't fight for the WBC belt, and it all kind of feels like they're still doing everything like, no, we actually really, really love you. We love you. We've got Mauricio Solomon kicks about with a Canelo Alvarez hat on. It kind of
what the fuck is this belt he just defends anywhere, anytime? It doesn't make any sense. It's just fucking like giving Floyd that, what was it, the money belt versus McGregor. It's like the Aztec belt, the fucking pearl belt for the Indian-Pakistan peace thing for the conflict. They just want to get their hands in the pot any way they can, and I don't understand why these guys let them. What prestige does this shit give you? Nothing. They're just taking some of your money. Keep your money in your pocket. Don't give these clowns 3% of anything.
What we kind of expected to happen was the WBC to order Jamal Charlo, Canelo Alvarez to fight, gets rid of one of the belts, gets rid of that interim belt, and and we all get a great fight for it. And if Canelo doesn't want to fight, he has to drop his title, and then Jamal Charlo will fight. Either he'll be upgraded or fight somebody else for the vacant title. Quite simple. A great fight. A fight that I would have been really high on, because I quite like the Charlos. Maybe I've calmed down a little bit on them. I kind of bought into the hype at the start, but I'm still quite high on them. I think they're very good technical boxers, and I think that's a great fight. And So this whole thing just seems so bizarre.
And he gets robbed the most. He loses the he gets the green belt, sure, whatever. But he loses out on the biggest money fight he possibly could get, and he just has the title. And the other guy can, I guess, if he, he doesn't have to defend his, what is the franchise?
Yeah,
it's fucking absurd.
It's so stinking. It really stinks, and it's like, do we think we'll ever get out of this phase in boxing? Because I don't think that this phase happened in the 80s where we had people just creating belts, going to a meeting and they've just created a belt, and they didn't even come up with a great name for it, a fucking franchise belt. I mean, come on. He's
running out of goddamn names. Mauricio's running out of fucking names down there in Mexico. He's already got the Aztec belt, the Diamond belt, the fucking... He's got... What's next? They're going to have fucking sanctioned street fights on the corner. Guys are going to be fighting for the copper belt. the nickel belt, the tin belt.
But see, even that would, you could accept that, but a franchise belt, because a franchise doesn't equate into boxing. I don't understand it. Where does, when I hear franchise, I think of Starbucks, Costa Coffee, McDonald's, Burger King. So when they
refer to sports teams here as like the franchise, like your sports Celtic to be like, the franchise needs to acquire a player or something like that. It's an entity. It's not a fucking boxing belt. It's not a title.
It's not an honour. Yeah, it's not a title. Exactly. So I was like the absolute lack effort put into the name. That I thought that was quite funny. It's as if they just just told somebody to flick through a dictionary and then said stop. And the first word they pointed to that was what it was going to be called. It's ridiculous. But I was reading Golden Boy's statement. Now I kind of thought that Golden Boy would have maybe made a wee bit of song and dance, and they haven't. That suggests to me that they have been intending and dropping that WBC belt to move up to super middleweight. Are you getting that feeling?
Yeah, the WBC belt can go anywhere he fights. If he wants to fight at 175, it's for 175. It's a belt for Canelo. That's it. I don't think you can win that from him. I think if you beat him, you just get a shot at the regular WBC title holder in any division.
It's fucking nuts. It's like Canelo's got an extra life. It's like when you used to play Mario's and all that, and you get an extra life. That's what Canelo's got.
I mean, like I said, I don't understand what he's paying them for. He doesn't need this. I understand. Like I used to be very anti-world titles, and they're meaningless. For lesser-known fighters, they're very important. That's how you get your payday. That's how you get well-known. But a guy like him, if it's not a real belt, why are you paying them? It makes no sense. You're just giving away part of your money.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think if Canelo says to Mauricio Solomon, "I'm not going to pay 3%." in the next fight, I think they would waive it.
I'm sure he's not paying 3%. I'm sure with the purses he makes, purses like him, guys Floyd make, they negotiate that down. There's no way he's getting like 3% of $40 million. There's no shot.
I think that the WBC would be happy just to see the WBC's name on Canelo Alvarez's shots, like an advert, like a billboard that goes all around the world. I honestly think that if Canelo says, "Listen, I'm not paying anything," they would just say, "Okay. You're bigger than the sport, apparently. You're bigger than everything. You're bigger than the WBC because we just want to be attached to you rather than..." They see the honour as Canelo having their belt rather than the honour being Canelo holding their belt. He's bigger than the organisation, which is fucking so mad and so cheap. The WBC seems very cheap.
With one swipe, they've cheapened that green belt that's been, prevalent for years and years and years, from all the way from Muhammad Ali. Everyone's always wanted the WBC title, and you just fucking cheapened it to be connected to Canelo Alvarez. It's a real shame. It's I expect nothing less from that guy, though. I've been saying it for years. We be crooks, and they are.
I also was reading today that, this was an idea that got brought up at their monthly meeting, and it get voted through. So it can't obviously, there must be a room full of Mauricio Solomon.
Who's fucking bored? Like, who's it? It's like him and like his brother and his cousin and his uncle or something. Like, I got an idea. I'll keep Canelo forever. Okay, sounds good. Meeting adjourned. What are the fucking meetings about, these guys?
But there has been talk a little while now that Canelo could be fighting Smith. Why can I know? Callum Smith. I bloody forgot what Smith I was talking about there. Callum Smith. But I'm also seeing the rumours now starting to circulate that he might be bypassing super middleweight and going to light heavyweight to fight Kovalev.
That's a crazy. I saw that today too. It seems like a bit of a crazy jump. No.
Yeah, well, absolutely, because Canelo is not like he's got a big frame, but he's not tall. I mean, I think Callum Smith, that would be. I'm not too sure he wins that fight because Callum Smith knows how to use his jab. So how does he get inside to get to work?
Yeah, I'd rather see him fight Smith than him before going to Kovalev. But I'm also curious to say he fights Smith and wins. What happens to Smith's WBC title? It goes vacant, and he just keeps his intergalactic franchise supermarket title.
But what I want to know is how big an entourage is Canelo going to need to carry all his WBC belts? If he keeps going.
He probably just Mauricio probably get him like a little wagon. He can pull them all behind him, and WBC wagon.
Yeah. Man. But if he does move up, where do you think Canelo's ceiling is?
I think 168. He's like you said, he's kind of bigger than that. He's going to start looking like a mailbox. He's going to get wider and wider, and 175. These guys are tall and rangy, and he's about 5'8", 5'9", maybe 5'9". I'd say the tallest.
Well, when I seen that Kovalev thing, I was, I'm more a Canelo fan. I'm more a fan of his style in the ring than a fanboy that I love everything he does outside the ring. I like watching him in the ring. I think his style and the way he goes about his work is. I don't think there's anybody in boxing better than him. But when you're seeing him being linked with guys like Kovalev, who we all know is on the slide, is trouble living the life, that comes across to me like somebody who's picking the bones, and that's not something that Canelo Alvarez should be doing, in my opinion. That's not a legitimate win. If he goes up and he's able to beat Kovalev, I don't see that as a legitimate win.
I don't think he can beat. I don't think he'll be able to beat Kovalev. He needs to have a few more fights first. You're right. He's like old. He doesn't live the life, but he looked great in his last fight. He's back dedicated. That's a miserable night at the end of that left jab for Canelo. He could keep him away with the reach.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. As you said, he did. He had vastly improved in his last fight, and I can't remember who was it. He changed trainer.
He left.
I can't remember who he was in with, but his old trainer, it was in his corner.
Was he fighting with Buddy McGirt?
Buddy McGirt, that's who it was. It was Buddy McGirt, and Buddy just everything Buddy was telling him in the corner, Kovalev was going out and doing in that round, and you never see that for Kovalev. He's one of these kind of know-alls. So maybe a change in attitude. Maybe I'm writing him off as being a spent force a bit too early because he did look very good in his last fight.
I mean, if you're Kovalev, I think you sign up for that fight in 3 seconds. That's going to be the biggest money you're going to get by far. And I think it's a very winnable contest.
Yeah, and even there's got to be a point. We all know Canelo's got a superb chin, but there's got to be a point where, the rules start applying to you. There is weight divisions for a reason.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of Twitter was acting like, he's going to beat Kovalev easy. It's not that. Who did he beat in December that I paid extraordinary amount of money to go see? It was a complete waste. Who's the English guy?
Who, Canelo or Rocky Fielding?
Canelo, yeah. They're acting like it's going to be one of those all over again. The Canelo fanboys. Not exactly the same class of fighter you're talking about.
No, not even in the same. Not even the same kind of conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm sure we've talked about this WBC Canelo stuff for a wee bit now, so let's go on to something positive. Lomachenko is coming to the UK to fight Luke Campbell. How do you feel about this? Because I hear that you are planning to come over.
Yeah, the flight is dirt cheap, and I think I'm going to book it right after we get off the phone. I think my buddy's going to come over with me, and hopefully it'll be in London because that's where I'm flying to. But if not, you can always jump on a train or something over there. Everything's pretty close.
Yeah, I think that with I think it will be London, just for that kind of reason. I think it'll probably be the O2 Arena. If I'm a betting man, it's going to be the O2 Arena. So it's cracking big venue. I think that me and the wife will also make an effort to get down, and we could obviously catch up. Me, you, and Riku.
That'd be great.
Yeah, but it's great to see. Luke Campbell looked really good, I thought, against Jorge Linares. But can we really? What do you think? Can he ask questions of Lomachenko? Is he good enough for that?
He's got the size. He's got the length. It's a different look for Lomachenko. I mean, he fought well against Linares. Linares put up a pretty good fight against Lomachenko. I know the triangle doesn't always work in boxing, but I mean, he doesn't really have anyone else to fight. So when he wants to fight in England, and I guess it's good. Why not? You know, who else is out there? No one really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a fan of this fight. I think that, just the size difference, it kind of, it's not going to like, play a major factor, but I think the Luke Campbell can use his size difference. He's good. He's got a nice jab. I think he proved that against Linares. He kind of pounded away at Linares with that jab and very nearly won that fight. Obviously, Lomachenko's a freak. There's no preparing for him. He moves away. But if Luke Campbell can find a way to keep distance, which is it's crazy saying that, that's a big ask to keep distance with Lomachenko. But
that's just when you see Lomachenko live, the footwork is. I've never seen anything like it. It's like unbelievable. He gets in and out of range. It'd be good to see a test of the guy's length. I still think to come over to see him fight in England as well,
So that's all the news stories that we had for this week. It was a bit of a quiet week. So let's move on to a couple of topics of discussion. Now, we already kind of touched on it in the podcast about the early stoppages or maybe fights going a bit longer than they should be. So I know that this is quite fight specific, but when do you think is the right time to stop a fight? Does that, if somebody's way behind on the cards, but is maybe just taking a wee bit of a pummeling, do you agree that a fight should be stopped there, or do we just carry on?
I think it depends on like the level of punishment. A lot of guys don't want to be stopped. They don't want to be finished, but that's why I think you have the referee in the corner. The fighter, it should never be up to the fighter. He should determine if you continue or not. Guys often need to be themselves. It's a difficult topic. Different guys are tougher than other guys. It's hard to judge.
Yeah,
it's a difficult to decide.
Yeah, I mean Andy Patterson made a great point a few weeks ago. It was, I can't remember what fight it was, but what it was is like it got a bit brutal and people were criticising the referee for not stopping it. And what Andy Patterson says made a great point. He says if we had a Thriller and Manila type fight nowadays, people wouldn't have the stomach to let that fight go to see if it would pan out the way it would. People demanding that fight was stopped in the 10th round or the 11th round. People wouldn't want to see that go any further. Do you think that where us being too cautious, it takes something away from the sport?
I think that some of the reason we watch the sport is the unabridged violence. We're not watching guys kick a ball around. We're watching guys hurt each other. It's the hurt business. If someone got seriously hurt in a big time fight, I think it would affect the sport badly. But you never want to see that to happen. But then again, it is grown, trained men punching each other in the face for money.
Yeah, because I mean, all the classic fights that we all go back to, are our favourite fighters like Arturo Gatti. I mean, these guys are our favourite fighters for a reason. I think if we sanitise the sport a bit too much, then it'll lose something. It'll become more of a technical sport. It'll become more. It'll be the way football is now. It's more for like a purist rather than just the blood and the guts. And I think the blood and the guts, it brings that bit of caveman out in us all.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's mostly why it's a lot of the reason why we watch it. But beyond the skill and the technique, it's you guys giving it their all and trying even when they have nothing left. A good example, I think, is a couple weeks ago on the Joshua card, Tommy Coyle. He gave it everything he had, and it wasn't enough. And I think Jamie Moore did a great job throwing the towel when he did. The ref wasn't going to stop the fight, and he said, "You know what, my guys had enough," and he had no problem with it. I think that was a perfect example of when to stop a fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was someone else we touched on earlier in the podcast. It was Lee McGregor, Scott Allen. I found that stoppage to be premature. I mean, I'm not going to shout and rant and rave about it, but I thought Scott Allen deserved every opportunity to try and recover in that fight. He was still in the fight. He was given a good fight up until that point. Yes, the tide was turning, but I mean, if he could take McGregor, to the cards, then he's got something. He's like, you couldn't stop me, I thought he deserved the right. He fought well enough in the fight to deserve the right to be given the benefit of the doubt.
Especially he wasn't hurt he wasn't hurt. He wasn't staggering around the ring. He wasn't taking a lot of punishment. I mean, he was being outclassed, but I agree. I think he deserved to see the finish line.
Yeah, I mean, there is that thing. He was hurt to the body, but he was surviving. He was hurt to the body. So really, what we're saying is, the referee had seen it and said, "Oh, do you know what? This is getting a bit too much now. I'm going to stop it." Well, it was to the body. You know what I mean? He was winded, and he was keeping out of range. He was batting up to the rope. So, but I mean, it wasn't as if I still thought that McGregor was going to go and finish that fight off. But I would have liked to have seen him get the chance to, rather than the referee jump in.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's that one I agree. Sometimes it's a fine line, and that job is hard. You want the guys to compete, but you don't want them to get hurt, and that's pretty much what you're in there for. We complain about the stoppages, but I've never been a third man in a ring, and I don't see it from that perspective.
Do we think that lad was just too brave for his own good, and there was people for the crowd? There was the lad who was fighting, his relations were there. Lad was just too brave for his own good, and there was people for the crowd. There was the lad who was fighting, his relations were there. Lad was just too brave for his own good, and there was people for the crowd. There was the lad who was fighting, his relations were there. Just too brave for his own good, and there was people for the crowd. There was the lad who was fighting, his relations were there, and they were just too brave for his own good, and there was people for the crowd. There was the lad who was fighting, his relations were there, and they were just too brave for his own good, and there was people for the crowd. There was the lad who was fighting, his relations were there, and they were for his own good, and there was people for the crowd. There was the lad who was fighting, his relations were there, and they were screaming to the referee to stop the fight. And that fight went for another round and a half after that. That was one of that made me feel a bit sick.
Yeah, that's a good point, Steve. I just I put the onus on the corner first. It's I know they're tight with the fighter. They don't want to embarrass them. That's not your job. You don't got to worry. You shouldn't be worried about any of that shit. You should be worried about protecting your man at all costs. That's really what your job is, besides preparing him for the fight. You have to look out for his best interest, because those guys aren't going to look out for themselves. Not in the heat of a battle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was just something I thought was quite current, so we should talk about it, because there was a few questionable performances for the third men in the ring in that past weekend there, so it was worth bringing up. But this is something, the next topic of discussion I wanted to go into was about Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson, the first black heavyweight champion ever. Way back, I think it was 1909, I think it was, he picked up the world title for Tommy Burns. But the thing is with Jack Johnson is we never hear about this guy. Do you think that Jack Johnson gets a recognition for what he actually accomplished in the world that he accomplished it in?
Not really. I mean, the guy was a criminal here until Obama pardoned him only a few years ago. He had for dating a white woman, and back when you weren't allowed to do that kind of stuff. It's just outrageous in any time period. No, I don't think he gets the recognition, and it's, especially in this country, there's a lot of hero worship for old-time athletes, and he's not one of the guys that's ever brought up, unfortunately.
Yeah, because I mean, even by boxing fans and the hipsters of the world, I've been watching a bit of Jack Johnson and clips of his old fights, and his style, the style that he had way back in 1909, is still being implemented today, and that's why he was such a success because nobody else had seen it. The way he boxed on the back foot, the way when people were throwing jabs, it would pour them out the way, the way your Floyd Mayweathers and your Canelos do that kind of perfect defence. He didn't he didn't waste a lot of energy. He would land his punches and then tie you up, like the way Vlad Klitschko does. And you're going at his style of fighting is still being used today, but yet nobody mentions him in like the greatest all time conversations.
I think it's just it's so long ago and the footage is so choppy and everyone. And I think a lot of it, we always look back. Muhammad Ali is the greatest. But we don't go past that because that's what like our parents and people, older guys we know, that's what they remember, and it's easy to see. It's hard to see like guys like Jack Johnson, a guy like Gene Tunney. The footage is there, but it's it's really tough to watch. It's tough to see.
Yeah, but I mean, we also have the arguments with Joe Lewis and Sugar Ray Robinson. Now, I know Jack Johnson was before that, but I mean, these guys are still always brought up. But I mean, the world that Jack Johnson grew up in, and he defied everything. He defied all odds to actually even just get the world title shot. Do you think it's maybe there's a bit of embarrassment? Like nobody really wants to talk about him because of the way he might have been treated. Do you think there's any of that in the play?
No, not really. It's just it's 1909. People were barely driving cars back then. I think it's just the how far away it was. Not that that time period was an ugly time especially for African American people in this country. I wouldn't say they would. He's not looked at because of that time period. It's just I just think it's so long ago that people tend to forget.
Yeah, but I mean, today in today's world, we look at Muhammad Ali as bigger than boxing. He was like a political figure. He was, he made a stand for his beliefs, and But Jack Johnson again was doing this stuff that Ali is famous for. He was doing it at the turn of the century when. And it wasn't underhand racism. It was bold in your face racism that he put up with every day. And the guy just got on with it. He actually taunted. When I watched him fighting Tommy Burns when he won his world title, he says Tommy Burns was saying some of the nastiest stuff he'd ever heard in his life, and he had justification to kill him. So every time he nearly knocked Tommy Burns out, he was picking him back up so he could punish him for more. And I was like, and Ali did that I can't remember who it was, but sure when he kept calling him Cassius Clay, and Ali tortured him, and beat him to a pulp. I was like, even Jack Johnson was doing that a way back at the turn of the century. But I mean, that is also my must see this week. I've been watching a documentary on Jack Johnson. I've always been so interested in his story. It's just hard to believe that just little over 100 years ago, this was the way people were still being treated, whether they were a professional athlete or no. And this is coming from the sports journalists and everything, for every angle. Even the American government end up out to get the guy, which is it's quite a shame. Or that's just because his skin colour. But I end up watching The Rise and Fall. Jack Johnson. It's on YouTube, a great documentary. So that was my must see this week. But that's why I thought we should discuss it, because I was sitting thinking to myself, you never hear Jack Johnson being brought up in conversations. For everything that he accomplished. You hear about the first black person to do this or the first black person to do that, but you never. You could probably ask a lot of people who was the first black heavyweight champion of the world, and I bet you most of them would say Joe Louis.
That's true. I agree with you there. I mean, it's true. It's never really brought up, and I can't think of a good reason why it isn't. Except the only thing I keep coming back to is it's just so long ago. It's not like relevant in people's minds. That I'm not sure why he's not mentioned. It doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah. When I was sitting thinking about it last night, to further discussion, I was thinking it may be. As I was saying, it may be that people don't really want to look back that far to see. I mean, I would look at it as a way of pride. Look where we've came in just over 100 years. 100 years ago, we were treating people like this, who were supposed to be our equals, but they just blatantly weren't they. And look at where we are today. Everybody's making great strides in the right direction, but maybe it's just that it's an embarrassment. They don't want to look back at the way.
I mean, there's a lot of ugly shit in this country, and a lot of it, jersey number 42.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't. I said we shy away from a lot here, but I don't think that's the reason. Jersey number 42.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't. I said we shy away from a lot here, but I don't think that's the reason. Because for 42. And we don't. I said we shy away from a lot here, but I don't think that's the reason. Because I said we shy away from a lot here, but I don't think that's the reason. Because everyone tries to celebrate diversity now, which is a good thing, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who wouldn't believe that.
Yeah, and I just thought I would actually bring the guy up because, I mean, as we've been saying, not a lot of people talk about him, so I'd dare say there's not a lot of people actually know about him, but his story is fascinating. It really is. If you go check that documentary out, and The Rise and Fall of Jack Johnson, it's definitely worth a watch. It's brilliant. You know, you sit there in awe actually watching the guy fight, and actually watching the old fights, you just kind of realise how hard these people actually were, in that era of boxing.
Yeah, that was like prime boxing time. Him, that's the era like Jack Dempsey. He fought like a madman, and hundreds of thousands of people used to go to boxing that way now, but it's not.
Yeah, do you know that just staying on Jack Johnson, when he was fighting the Great White Hope, Jim Jeffries had been retired because California was scared in case Jack Johnson won and the country went into riots. They didn't want to host it, so it ended up going to Nevada because California was scared in case Jack Johnson won and the country went into riots. They didn't want to host it, so it ended up going to Nevada. Who'd have thought it? It went to Reno. Reno.
The biggest little city in the world.
Yeah, it went to Reno, and I was like, there you go. They were pioneers. They knew that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But that was my must-see this week, Brendan. I don't know if you've seen anything this week just before we finish up.
I'm sure.
But that was my must-see this week, Brendan. I don't know if you've seen anything this week just before we finish up.
I saw a couple guys talking about old fights on Twitter, and Tommy Allen mentioned the Klitschko Lewis fight. I hadn't watched that in a long time, so I watched that back. Just a good modern day heavyweight scrap, and you could see why Lennox hung it up after that.
Yep, because Vitali...
a tough fight for both guys.
I thought Vitali was getting the better of Lewis. I thought he was breaking him down, and that cut just happened to save him, we'll say. I thought Vitali looked fantastic that night. And am I right in thinking that Vitali Klitschko was actually a late replacement?
Yeah, and then they was like labeled a quitter, right? Didn't he hurt his shoulder against Chris Bird, and everyone's like, this guy's was taking a bit of a pasting there for a while, and then he landed I think it was a big left hook, and then it kind of like a punch. The best of them. Anything, that guy could punch. The best of them.
Yeah, but again, it's like Vitali's another one of the heroes.
Anything, that guy could punch. The best of them.
Yeah, but again, it's like Vitali's another one of the heroes.
The best of them.
Yeah, but again, it's like Vitali's another one of the heroes that's get the question.
The best of them.
Yeah, but again, it's like Vitali's another one of the heroes that's get the question.
The best of them.
Yeah, but again, it's like Vitali's another one of the heroes that's get the question marks.
The best of them.
Yeah, but again, it's like Vitali's another one of the heroes that's get the question marks.
The best of them.
Yeah, but again, it's like Vitali's another one of the heroes that's get the question marks.
The best of them.
Yeah, but again, it's like Vitali's another one of the heroes that's get the question marks of it.
The best of them.
Yeah, but again, it's like Vitali's another one of the heroes that's get the question marks of it.
The best of them.
Yeah, but again, it's like Vitali's another one of the heroes that's get the question marks of it. One of the heroes that's get the question marks over his name. We have failed steroid tests before an Olympic Games. That's why he actually had to turn pro. Because he get caught. But I mean, it's a great fight. Love that fight. As a matter of fact, it's been a while since I've watched that, so I might actually watch that myself.
Yeah. I went back. I saw those guys. I think Tommy and a few other guys are talking about it.
We've had to do this over 2 days, and we're missing this beautiful. Yeah. But as I say, Brendan, thanks very much for coming on. I know it was a bit of a pain. Yeah. But as I say, Brendan, thanks very much for coming on. I know it was a bit of a pain getting this done. Yeah. But as I say, Brendan, thanks very much for coming on. I know it was a bit of a pain getting this done due to. Yeah. But as I say, Brendan, thanks very much for coming on. I know it was a bit of a pain getting this done due to robots. Yeah. But as I say, Brendan, thanks very much for coming on. I know it was a bit of a pain getting this done due to robots. Yeah. But as I say, Brendan, thanks very much for coming on. I know it was a bit of a pain getting this done due to robots. Yeah. But as I say, Brendan, thanks very much for coming on. I know it was a bit of a pain getting this done due to robots. Yeah. But as I say, Brendan, thanks very much for coming on. I know it was a bit of a pain getting this done due to robots being a yeah. But as I say, Brendan, thanks very much for coming on. I know it was a bit of a pain getting this done due to robots being against. Very much for coming on. I know it was a bit of a pain getting this done due to robots being against us.
This technology, what are we going to do?
That's it, man. But we can't moan. It's like we're sitting here talking across the Atlantic as if it's nothing.
Across the ocean, I'm drinking a nice strawberry daiquiri like a real manly man talking boxing.
Yeah, man. That's it. But Brendan, thanks very much, and I'll catch